What if I told you the Philippines had a name and a global reputation long before Magellan ever set sail? That centuries before Spanish colonizers arrived, Chinese dynasties already knew these islands not as a primitive archipelago, but as a bustling trade partner with law, diplomacy, and international respect? This is the story of Ma-i, the ancient name of a powerful coastal society that once existed where the Philippines now stands. Long hidden in forgotten scrolls and overlooked by textbooks, Ma-i was recorded in imperial Chinese chronicles as early as the 10th century. This isn't a legend, this is real, documented history. The name Ma-i existed 600 years before Las Islas Filipinas. Today, we're diving deep into that forgotten identity, exploring what Ma-i was, where it existed, what it traded, and what it means for how Filipinos see themselves today. Long before the archipelago was renamed by Spanish colonizers, it had a different identity, a name recorded by one of the most powerful empires on earth, China's Song Dynasty. In the year 971 AD, Ma-i was first mentioned in the history of Song, a Chinese dynastic record. Described as a prosperous island nation engaged in regular trade, Ma-i appears again in multiple Chinese documents over the next 3 centuries, including Zhu Fan Zhi, 1225, and Daoyi Zhilüe, 1349. This proves something incredible. There was a functioning society in these islands with established leadership, maritime commerce, and diplomatic relations long before Spain even considered crossing the Pacific. Ma-i isn't myth, it's recognized in foreign records. At a time when much of Europe was still recovering from feudal collapse, the ancestors of modern Filipinos were already participating in a complex web of Asian trade. One of the great debates in Southeast Asian archaeology revolves around the true location of Ma-i. Early scholars believed it referred to Mindoro, where the indigenous term mate was still used locally. This was supported by similarities in trade descriptions and regional access to sea routes. However, more recent linguistic and geographical evidence points to Bay, Laguna, pronounced Ba-i, as the more likely candidate. The name Ma-i in Chinese could have referred to the phonetics of Ba-i, especially since Laguna de Bay was known to be a trade hub during the pre-colonial period. Archaeological digs in Laguna and Manila have revealed Tang and Song dynasty ceramics, showing that this region was heavily involved in trade with China. Wherever Ma-i truly lay, one thing is certain, it wasn't an isolated village. It was an organized coastal society with leaders, laws, and a thriving economy. Ma-i wasn't just known, it was respected. Chinese records describe Ma-i as wealthy in beeswax, cotton, tortoise shells, coconut oil, and betel nuts. These were high-value commodities in Chinese markets, used for medicine, rituals, textiles, and trade. The people of Ma-i welcomed foreign traders with hospitality, even providing temporary warehouses for storing goods. The fact that they had organized docking areas and merchant accommodations suggests a sophisticated local economy, complete with taxation, logistics, and regulation. This was not a tribal barter society. This was international commerce. It shattered the long-held belief that pre-colonial Filipinos were primitive. They were already part of the Asian economic network, and they knew how to make money. Although no full list of rulers survives, Chinese records reference chieftains or kings of Ma-i who conducted diplomacy and enforced trade agreements. These leaders were clearly respected by Chinese emissaries, who noted the peaceful behavior and generous hospitality of Ma-i's people. What's striking is that Ma-i was able to maintain autonomy. Unlike other kingdoms that fell under Chinese tributary systems, Ma-i was treated as a friendly independent state. Its leaders engaged in trade, not subservience. This indicates they held significant control over their territory and economy, enough to deal with foreign powers on equal footing. This raises a profound point. Filipino leadership existed long before colonial systems imposed governance. Datus and Rajas were already maintaining law and order, managing ports, and controlling supply chains. By the time the Spanish arrived in the 1500s, Ma-i no longer appeared in Chinese records. Why? Several theories exist. One is assimilation, that Ma-i was absorbed into growing regional powers like Tondo or Namayan. Another theory is disruption from Islamic sultanates expanding in Mindanao and parts of Luzon. Still another is the collapse of the Ming dynasty's maritime policies, which halted overseas expeditions and reduced Chinese contact with Southeast Asia. But the most likely reason? Ma-i didn't disappear. It simply evolved. Its name replaced by newer local polities, its systems folded into barangays, and eventually overridden by colonizers who renamed everything. The Spanish weren't interested in preserving local names. They erased them. Rediscovering Ma-i isn't just about correcting the history books, it's about reclaiming Filipino identity. For centuries, colonial education taught that civilization began with Magellan or Legazpi. But Ma-i proves that Filipinos had trade, government, law, and diplomacy centuries before Spanish flags ever touched the sand. It also connects the Philippines to ancient Asia, not just Western empires. Ma-i reminds us that Filipino ancestors were seafarers, entrepreneurs, and negotiators. They didn't need to be discovered. They were already known. In remembering Ma-i, modern Filipinos reclaim their place, not at the margins of history, but at the center of it. Ma-i was never just a name. It was a window into an identity that colonization tried to erase. When we speak its name today, we don't just honor an old trading post. We remind ourselves that Filipino civilization didn't begin with conquest. It began with sovereignty, knowledge, and connection. Ma-i was proof that the Filipino spirit was never born out of submission. It was born out of trade, diplomacy, and resilience. And maybe that's what makes it so dangerous to forget. Because once you realize your ancestors were already great before they were colonized, you stop asking for validation. You start reclaiming your power.